Little did we know that at the time,
Sabrina Carpenter
was part of a secret group on 2B2T called Tyranny, whose main goals involved taking control of the server from Housemaster. The group consisted of
Sabrina Carpenter,
the leader of the group,
Ariana Grande,
2B2T's most notorious griefer,
Billie Eilish,
one of my old basemates and a master of social engineering,
The Weeknd,
Bruce Cannon, and
Taylor Swift.
a fierce PvPer. Him and I had a fierce PvP rivalry spanning multiple years. It was already known that House was never truly a hands-off admin. He had world-edited Spawn before, and had actually befriended players such as Imps and Oftopia. There were rumors that House had world-edited bases into the map for his friends, but whether that is true or not has never really been proven. House was also friends with
Sabrina Carpenter,
a mistake that almost cost the server its life. When the server returned from the April Fool's map, something had changed. Withers had become re-enabled, after having been disabled for quite some time. They were enabled on the same day that Tyranny griefed Oremonger's Mesa base. And then, the very next day, suspiciously, Withers became disabled again. Now, not too long after this, Asgard 2 gets griefed, sparking the third incursion. During the incursion,
Sabrina Carpenter,
betrayed the incursion by trying to protect Jared. It was during this time that I was forced into 1 vs 1 PvP combat with
Sabrina Carpenter,
After going through multiple sets of armor, I finally managed to kill him. This didn't make Tyranny very happy.
The Weeknd,
Came at me, but I killed him.
Taylor Swift,
Came after me, but he fell for my fall trap, and I killed him. The incursion had fought off Tyranny, and won. For now. Are you still with me? Good, because this is where it gets insane, and where the truth finally begins to leak about what had been happening behind the scenes, behind our backs. The year is now 2016. Popbob had not been seen on the server in a while. Players were carrying on as usual, and bases like Aureus City and Space Valkyria continued to thrive. A brand new exploit had just become public, the Bed Teleport exploit, or Bed TP. Players were able to use beds to travel far distances in the Nether, abusing Minecraft's respawn mechanic in the overworld. Now, how it would work is that you would sleep in a bed in the overworld, and then you would go to those exact same coordinates in the Nether, which is 8 times as far away. And you'd put down a bed facing the exact same direction as the first bed. You'd leave the Nether, kill yourself, and you'd respawn at the bed in the Nether, assuming that someone had placed a bed there at the next warp point. You could set up a chain of beds that would lead you out into the millions. And remember, each time you traveled, the distance multiplied by 8, so by the last jump, you were easily going over 1,000,000 blocks. Many players use this method to travel to the Lands, a legendary base abandoned long ago. They wanted to see the base for themselves in person and build there with Jack the Ripper, who was very proud of his base. Jared became enraged when he learned that Jack was inviting people to the Lands. So he attempted to ride the bed chain all the way to the Lands. When it was discovered that
The Weeknd,
was coming, Jack ordered the bed chain to be broken as quickly as possible. The last bed in the chain was destroyed, and it seemed that
The Weeknd,
would be cut off from the Lands for good. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But then, the unthinkable happened. Out of nowhere,
Ariana Grande,
logged in at the final link and reconnected it.
The Weeknd,
Finally had a path to the Lands. This is the first time that
Ariana Grande,
had logged on in months, and this would be his final act of treachery. He logged out for the final time and never returned to the server in any real capacity ever again. Now that the chain was reopened,
The Weeknd,
had access to the Lands, but he was not alone.
Taylor Swift,
Was with him. brandishing a 32K sword given to him by
Sabrina Carpenter.
everyone at the lands. Did what they could to defend, but it was no use.
Taylor Swift.
Killed everyone.
The Weeknd.
Began to grieve. After the lands fell, all of the members of the base were upset. Right after the lands got griefed, Ormonger's next base is mysteriously found by Tyranny and grieved. And once again, Withers became enabled just for the grief and then were instantly disabled. This was a major red flag. This caused James Russells to begin investigating
Sabrina Carpenter.
his GitHub page, and while doing so, he noticed something odd.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Uploaded some new files and left them public, likely on accident. James downloaded everything he could and showed the files to a few other people, including Kane's Law. Since James and Keynes were both members of Aureus, I got to hear what was going on. But I was away from the city gathering artifacts for the soon-to-be museum, and I wasn't really too interested at the time. Upon closer inspection, Keynes realized what they had in their possession. They were region files of 2B2T, not world downloads, region files, which can only be obtained by taking them directly from a server. These files would give numerous coordinates that were investigated immediately. There were stashes, spawn bases, and builds included in these region files. But the very last one they investigated is what blew the lid off this entire thing. Keynes, Jack, and a few others ended up finding Tristan's secret base stocked with 32K weapons, 32K tools, player and mob heads, and all sorts of illegal items. When looking into the chests further, Keynes found something that had never been seen before on 2B2T. Barrier blocks. The only way these could even exist in survival is if an admin spawned them in directly. Was Housemaster supplying Tyranny with these items? Did they have some kind of direct access to the server? Yellowstone Joe was able to identify the fact that the base was in newer chunks, meaning that everything there was recently made. Jack stored some of the items. Silver Crown King also had a stash, and Keynes stashed some of the items as well. When Kane's Law returned to Aureus City and showed me the barrier blocks, I was floored, but also instantly was on edge. I knew things were only going to get worse from here. Once
Sabrina Carpenter.
discovered that his stash had been raided, he took the members of Tyranny and did what would be their final major act on the server. 2 major griefs, long distances apart, back to back. Space Valkyria and King's Landing. A display of force to show their power. Tyranny traveled instantly to Space Valkyria in the end and griefed it. Once they were done griefing it, they created an exit portal at Space Valk out of thin air. Come on! This is getting ridiculous. They literally spawned an exit portal with illegal portal frames out of thin air and landed safely back in the overworld, where they went directly to King's Landing and griefed it. How? How do they know these locations? How was this possible? The player base was outraged. Normally, a grief is a grief and you get over it. But 2 major griefs, back to back, long distances apart in different dimensions, spawning end portals using illegal items, the community began to suspect that this was more than just a backdoor and began crying foul. Little did we know how much worse it actually was. While trying to seek information, Jack was talking to an old friend on the server, the Pompano. After talking for a while, Jack noticed that his behavior seemed a bit unusual. He told him, "Let's continue this conversation on Steam." Once contacted via Steam, Pompano said he had no idea what Jack was talking about, that he hadn't been on 2B in a long time. This meant that someone had hacked into Pompano's account. With further research, it turned out that there had been a Chinese database leak with thousands of emails and passwords that had been passed around the darknet. Pompano's email was part of this leak, and it ended up being the same email and password for his Minecraft account. Someone was trying to socially engineer Jack with a hacked account, and suddenly, it all made sense. If someone had been able to hack Pompano, what if someone had been able to hack other accounts, including Housemaster himself? The nightmare became a reality when it was revealed that one of Housemaster's accounts, George Bush 420, was included in the database leak, and the Tyranny had been using it. The account was seen building its spawn in creative mode, and all hell broke loose. This was the proof. Years of suspicion, years of these players denying anything, calling us paranoid. This was the proof. Tyranny had direct access to operator status. Game over. Welcome to the 2B2T Dark Ages. Tyranny had been using the OP status to literally make themselves gods. The backdoor was so deep that
Sabrina Carpenter.
even had player data files, meaning that even the contents of our ender chests were not secret anymore. Our bed locations, everything about our accounts, our join dates, it was all leaked. The entire community came together in protest. How could House have let this happen? How could he have turned a blind eye to all of this? The outrage caused Housemaster to finally take action, but not publicly. He took back all access to admin, deleted all the super weapons and barrier blocks that had not been placed yet, and didn't say a word to anybody. Late April 2016, the server is dead.